Moving on to provincial politics. The Parti Québécois is accusing Quebec's Conservative Party of fraud. The PQ claims that during a by-election the Conservatives lost last year, they spent way beyond what they're legally allowed to and then lied about it. In total, the PQ estimates that their rivals spent upwards of $237,000 during the campaign. That's twice the legal limit. They say the Conservative Party's financial reports show a series of unusually cheap expenses. Their candidate, party leader Éric Duhaime, handed out copies of his autobiography to voters for free. That's legal. What might not be is that his campaign paid just $1.70 per book. He bought 4,000 copies. Without his massive discount, that would have cost his party over $90,000. That's most of the campaign's budget. And this was not the only suspicious discount the PQ uncovered. Under Quebec's electoral code, it is illegal for a political party to pay less than the actual value of something. That discount, one that saved the Conservatives tens of thousands of dollars, well, it's technically a political contribution, and those have to be reported accurately. Duhaime ended up being blown out in the election, losing by over 4,000 votes to the PQ's Alex Boissonneau. If that weren't bad enough, an investigation by Election Quebec into the Conservatives could lead to their leader being kicked out of provincial politics for 5 years. Here is Duhaime's response to the allegations.
Le Parti conservateur du Québec avait demandé un avis au DGEQ et on l'a fait suivant les normes du directeur général des élections. Et si le Parti québécois là, cherche des criminels puis cherche des passés criminels dans Tabasca, c'est pas dans notre campagne qu'il faut qu'ils regardent, c'est leur candidat dans Tabasca.
Éric Duhaime's being investigated. What are the exact allegations?
So, like, the discount on the books is that, well, first of all, that's a pretty great way to become a bestseller, right? Just buy 4,000 copies of your own book.
Give them out for free.
Give them out for free. That's a huge discount. You're talking like a 90% discount. And it, of course, gives them a super unfair advantage, right? If you're spending just $4,000 or $5,000 on something that should cost $90,000, then yeah, that gives you a huge advantage over the other party if they're playing by the rules, which we assume they are. There's no complaints against them. So that was one thing. The other was they rented, as headquarters, they rented a cottage that's like worth almost $1 million. They rented it for $2,000 for a month. That same cottage on a vacation rental site goes for $3,000 a week.
Oh
so
God.
Again, you're looking at like a savings of over $10,000. Like these add up. Like what strikes me here is that I think beyond the whole, like, are they being ethical? Is this corrupt? Whatever. It just, the Conservatives don't seem very serious. Like these are very basic mistakes. And it was quite easy for the PQ to find it, highlight it, send it to Elections Quebec. And it's not unrealistic that after an investigation, Duhaime's out of politics for 5 years. And without Duhaime, that party, and I think that might be your follow-up question, they don't have great chances. He is that party as far as they're concerned. Like, nobody really knew who they were before he came along. For the record, Éric Duhaime was a very popular radio host in Quebec City, very controversial, very conservative, made a series of inappropriate jokes and comments about Islam before the Quebec City shooting. Like, he has not contributed great things to our public discourse. When he took the party over, it became very anti-vax. It shows, I think, that this party that garnered 15% of the popular vote in the last election is quite chaotic and vulnerable to like very basic mistakes. And while people might ideologically align with them, they might look at this and say, is it worth my vote? Like, if I vote for these guys, will it even count? Are they on the level? That's just one problem.
Yeah, well, it seems, to me, it seems pretty obvious. Like, it's a pretty flagrant, contravention of the rules, but then also it's also very easy to track that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they did something that was like, this took a big
It wasn't
investigation.
sophisticated. It was not sophisticated.
So I'm just kind of wondering, what did they think was going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, it shows you the danger of placing someone to the forefront because they're charismatic and just because, like, radio show hosts don't always make great politicians. Ask Bernard Drinville. I'm sorry. It's one thing to laugh at your own jokes.
Yeah.
But no, they don't. And I think the what I'm taking away from this is the following. If this is true and they did double their budget and they went all out, the guy hands out 4,000 copies of his autobiography to voters. They just give everything they can to this one riding, and they lose by 11%, 4,000 votes. is he even electable? Like,
Yeah.
are we just running, like, will he be a giant distraction? The second question, or like the second kind of epiphany that I've had, is that if this is the beginning of the end for this party in this particular election cycle, where does that 15% go? We have a really tight race of like the Liberals and PQ in most polls. They're neck and neck at around 30%. If this 15% were to collapse, it would probably go more towards the PQ than the Liberals, and it might even push them into majority territory. And so the next question becomes, well, why would these voters go to the PQ? Because they've been taking increasingly conservative positions. One of the, like, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon recently came out in the statement where he called Radio-Canada journalists Marxists. He came out and in that statement was defending a position he had taken, saying like it's important for women to have babies if they want to have babies. But I think it was like there's a fixation on the side of the PQ and the CAQ and a lot of conservatives in Quebec over immigration versus our population growing because Quebecers are making more babies. They're all competing for that kind of weird nativist vote.
Yeah.
And I think this could balance in their favor. And all of which is to say, this argument about having babies, an anti-abortion group took hold of it, and they were like, we really agree with what the PQ is saying. So the PQ is going from a party that was like basically derided as unionists and Marxists in the 1960s and 70s. They're going from that party to a party that is calling people Marxists and being endorsed by anti-abortion groups.
Yeah.
So this would explain a pretty major shift in our politics. I don't know if it's going to work, but it is, I think, a signal for how dirty and maybe ugly this election will be, because the last one was really bad. The one before that was really bad. And the one before that was also really bad. I don't think this bodes well for our sanity in October.
Yeah, it seems like the only, like, without Éric Duhaime at the helm, if he's gone for 5 years, there's sort of a vacuum, right? And some people will still vote for the party no matter what, but it will potentially, they became a serious political threat for two reasons. One, Éric Duhaime, huge following in Quebec City. Two, during the pandemic, they were super anti-vax or pro-choice or whatever you want to call it, but they were very much against all of these measures. Éric Duhaime was part of the trucker convoy or wanted to join the trucker convoy. Like, they latched onto that movement and raised a ton of money off of it. But now that those measures are no longer really a part of our daily lives, they've sort of lost their raison d'être. And, we'll see what it is moving forward, if they even move. Like, if they move forward without him, it's going to be a disaster for them, I think.